Today's guest is one of the most genuine people I've met. He's openly raising awareness around managing an eating disorder, and is doing so. He's not only lifting himself, but also lifting others with him. But before we get into this, I want to say a huge thank you to Parliament Square Coffee for allowing us to film. But anyway, let's get into this. So Owen, when I was speaking to you, I asked you for a word or a line to sum you up. And you said growth. At this chapter in your life, that's how you would describe yourself. Why do you think growth is something that is so apparent to the current place you're at?
I think for me with growth, it's just a case of in every aspect of my life at the minute, I feel like I am growing, whether it be personally, whether it be professionally, with running, with the journey I'm going on with running, with my own personal journey with, like we mentioned before, with eating disorders and stuff, my journey in recovery with that. And I think a lot of my life at the minute is just tailored around me growing as a person and developing into who I am and being more comfortable around that. So that's probably why that was the word that came to mind at the minute.
Mm-hmm. I think it is a big thing of like establishing who you are as well as a person. I think growth shows that you're establishing like the way you think, how you feel comfortable with the people you're around, sitting with your own thoughts. That's a big one as well. How do you feel? Do you think it's improved part of your life then, being subconsciously or even consciously establishing the growth, seeing that?
Do you know what? It's a hard one. I think in terms of like growth, in terms of who you are, I think there's a big pressure with people and with how people see growth and thinking you've got to know who you are by when you leave school or when you're that age. It feels like there's massive pressure to be on a certain trajectory from when you're quite young and know what you want to do and know where you want to go in life. Where ultimately that's not always the case. Like for me, like I say, it's always a constant thing of growth. And for me, I'm only really feeling comfortable with who I am and discovering who I am over the last 12, 18 months and stuff. And it's something that I found quite difficult to come by. So I think for me, it's important to just be happy with that and be happy with who you are. And the quicker you can get that, brilliant. And for those who are in the early 20s, even in the teens, and kind of feel that way, that's amazing. But it doesn't necessarily mean everyone has to be on that path as quick as that. But yeah.
And I think even that path changes as you get older. Some ideas stay the same, but like the path always changes, and the ideas are constantly like you change as a person. You become this what you thought was right 10 years ago. You probably think,
no, exactly.
He's stupid, that guy back there. Definitely. It's like, do you think growth has to be gradual?
Yeah, I think for me, like you say, I think I wouldn't say gradual because, like you just alluded to, it's like it can ebb and flow. You can think you know who you are or where you're at and what you're struggling with and what your strengths are, but then something could happen in your life and that can completely change. I think the best way to be is just always be ready to adapt and ready to change and be ready to grow. Because, like I say, as long as you're open to growing, it's whether it be you have a certain level of growth and then it kind of levels out for a bit and then something happens in your life or something that you want to achieve comes about and then you go for it and you grow in that way. It's I think growth I wouldn't say it's gradual. It's more just a case of it's always there. It might not necessarily happen all the time, but it's always there.
But it's just trying not to rush it.
Yeah, not pressuring yourself into feel like you've got to be fit into a certain box or be at a certain place by a certain time, which I'm guilty of as well. Even with like in particular with like running, there's this massive pressure to be at a certain pace or improve it every race and do this and get better PBs every time, but that doesn't necessarily happen. Which is probably a good metaphor for in life. That's literally how it goes. You might work really hard at something, and might not get anywhere. But then the next month, I don't know, where something pops off, or you discover what you want to do, or you discover where you want to go next. Like I think for me, everything I've done in my life so far, I've not planned it. Which sounds mental, but like you've got ideas. But every job I've had, every interest I've had, every hobby, it's always been to do just something's happened and or an opportunities came about and I've took it. Or something just happened and I've not had a choice and then I've had to grow and adapt and yeah, that's always happened throughout my life. I've never really had a continual path that I've chosen.
I do believe that as well because it's like we have our goals and we have like our pathways to like our ideal circumstance. Like for example, if we use you running a marathon, you would think I'm gonna do a training block and then I'm gonna get this certain time and it's gonna be smooth sailing. No injuries, no niggles, not going to be tired some days.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get there on the day, be fully fueled, I'm ready to go. But like, that's a fairy tale, isn't it?
Exactly. There's a
But
long way to go.
it's a long way to go. You might not get it the first time. Like that's what I was thinking as well. I think as a kid, as when you're younger, I think it's all about the culture now. People is like everybody wants everything instantly or first attempt. And it's like seeing failure or whatever somebody views as failure to them is like, you can't do that. So
Yeah.
once you've tried it once, don't try again because what's the point? Obviously, you've admitted that we all do at times ourselves. What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned from doing that? Teaching.
I think for me it's like I say it's with failure it never comes easy and stuff, and it's even for me even now, like when you don't hit targets or when you don't achieve what you think you want to achieve and that you can't achieve it, it is frustrating and you can beat yourself up. But I think just learning that, like you just alluded to, learning that does happen and that will always happen is just really important. And the quicker you get your head around that, the probably faster you'll progress, which sounds daft.
Mm-hmm.
The more you get comfortable with failing, the faster you'll develop. And
Mm.
don't get me wrong, that's not me saying that in terms of I'm preaching something that I do
Yeah.
myself. Like even me, I still struggle with it now. If I fail
Mhm.
with something or something's not going my way, I have the odd time where it really gets to me and it really frustrates me. Like I'm not sure if we spoke about this or not when we had a little chat last week, a few weeks ago, but I think one time I went for the 5K and I was aiming for like 19 minutes and I got 19:20 something, which at the time was the first time I've done it under sub 20 was a PB. And I was fuming at myself and I was like, for a good 15, 20 minutes, I couldn't care less that I got a PB or that I'd done that amazing thing.
Mhm.
I was just annoyed at myself and because I'd failed in my head, whereas
Mhm.
I'd completely bypassed the amazing thing that I'd achieved. So I think just every time you do something, I think just taking stock of what is it you've done, what is it that
Mhm.
went well, what is it that didn't go so well, and just no matter what happens, especially with anything in life, the journey that you've gone on to do that thing, whether it's gone well or not, you've still done the thing and you've still went on that journey in the first place, and it's something that you should reflect on either way in a positive way.
Mhm. Definitely, it's like we are all awful at it. No matter what it is, with job, with money. Like you get a nice car for a week, you're buzzing.
Yeah,
The week after, it's like, do you see his car over there?
yeah,
I want that car now. It's always the one to more, but you're never gonna be like either content or even just being able to feel happy at anything that you've accomplished, big or small to you. Like obviously you've used running as the example there, but we do it every day in our lives, don't we? Like
exactly.
just because you didn't wake up at a certain time, it's like you've put a label on yourself that it's gonna be a bad day today because that's happened, but it's not, isn't it? It's about keeping flow and keeping on a straight and narrow and just trusting. It's trusting the
Yeah, yeah,
process, isn't it?
definitely, yeah.
But then I do see why it can be difficult because it can feel slow, and you can. I feel like, have you ever felt like where you felt slow or shall we say even invisible to like you can't see the growth nowhere to what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. There's times where, like, whatever you're doing, whether it be in personal life, in professional life, and things that I've trying to achieve at the minute,
Mm-hmm.
you think, well, am I getting anywhere? Am I making an impact? But you've got to just remember that even if you're doing something and you're trying to make an impact in whether it be a certain community in a certain job or whatever, even if it's making this 1% of an impact, you are progressing each and every day, whether it be progressing through failure and learning new things or progressing through reaching a load of different people and helping loads of different
Mm-hmm.
people or just helping one. I think you always are doing more than you was if you weren't going to be doing the thing you're trying to achieve. If
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. Now I've got one that's it's quite deep. I want to
Go
get
on.
your thoughts on it. Do you think growth comes from big moments or small daily?
That is a big question. I think I think when you talk about growth, I think everyone looks at the big shiny things that you achieve, whether it be you've got an amazing new job, or you've just run an amazing PB at a marathon, or you've just done something professionally to loads of different people, or you've just grew massively on Instagram, all these different things. But that's not where growth comes from. Growth comes from the small things that got you there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you were going to give me one or the other, I'd say the small steps that you take are worth a million of the big ones, because ultimately without the small ones, you wouldn't get the big ones.
Mm-hmm. They're like the learning as well, aren't they?
Exactly.
It's they show you the path to get to the big ones
Exactly.
easily, and it's even mistakes, the little mistakes, learning from the little mistakes. Stop. leading to the big mistakes where if you don't deal with the little ones, then the big mistakes come, such as injuries, such as loss of enjoyment in what you do, loss, if it's in a business, loss of capital, money, whatever it is. So it's about seeing the everyday little improvements, isn't it? The 1%.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you think about it, if like you're looking at a debate between what's bigger and massive achievements or small steps, well, ultimately, like I said before, if you're looking at, say, if you're here, but you want to get to up there, you can't just jump and get to there. You need to
Mm.
build your way up, whether it be
Hmm.
create them steps to get there. And ultimately,
Yeah.
if you're not going to put more effort and attention on them little steps, you can't make them big jumps because they're just impossible.
Now, I want to talk about your upbringing.
Mhm.
Even if we go from terms of like family life, and then what was even school like and your experience throughout your upbringing?
Um, no, I had a good upbringing. I enjoy playing out with mates and stuff. I enjoy playing football. I
Hmm.
think like we alluded to last time, I think I've always struggled, whether it be in school or whether it be when I was younger, I've always struggled maintaining friendships with groups, whether it be through my own terms or through like kind of
Hmm.
other different things. Like for example, like one thing that I always remember initially was I used to have a core group of friends that I always used to go and play out with and play football with around where I used to live. And then it got to a certain age, around maybe 10, 11, and the same kids who I used to play footy with every day, and I love kind of hanging out with them, whatever, playing PlayStation or whatever, they started going down a path that I weren't really wanting to go down, going not
Hmm.
necessarily down kind of really bad things, just negative habits and getting into different crowds that I didn't want to be a part of. And I kind of took my kind of own initiative of just stepping away from that and stuff and not wanting to be a part of that, which ultimately long term may have served me well, I don't know, and it may have
Hmm.
led to where I am now. But short term, it was difficult going from having loads of mates to then having none. I think it can be quite hard on you mentally, especially when you're younger. And like I said, I went from moving to like secondary school, and it was a similar thing. Like I always found when I was in school and stuff, I always struggled with changing who I was to
Hmm.
adapt in the situation and be have a friendship group. I think in school is a big thing of you've got to act a certain way and be a certain type of person
Hmm.
to
To fit
to
in,
fit in
yeah.
and to fit in with the different groups that were with a bit in school where I didn't really fit into any of them groups. So
Hmm.
and I weren't really willing to change who I was to do that because ultimately it'd be fake and I wouldn't want to do that. And or like for example, I might be really sound with a group of lads, but if there were certain things they did that I didn't agree with, I wouldn't really want to be mates with them or be part of that and stuff. And I did find school quite tough in that respect of kind of maintaining relationships and keeping friendships, which could be loads of different reasons. Could be the fact that obviously I was an only child, so I kind of got used to being in my own company quite a lot
Mm.
when I was younger.
Comfortable being with yourself and your
So
thoughts, yeah.
when it came to like, for example, if a group of friends kind of disbanded or I stopped speaking to people and stuff, whereas if someone's quite social and has people around them all the time, they might think, like, I need to
Hmm.
get new mates, I need to find different friends with. For me, 'cause I was probably too comfortable by myself. I just
Hmm.
kind of let them friendships go and didn't probably make enough effort
Hmm.
to keep them maintained.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because in some breath you'd view that as like, what? Look at him. He's able to sit with his own thoughts. He's able to do stuff himself or experience stuff. But then, like, you can also view it as like, you can get, like you said, the word was too comfortable
Yeah,
with doing that. And then it can become an issue, can't it? Then, because
yeah,
then you think like that becomes a reality. No, oh, reality.
yeah.
Sorry,
It's all right.
reality more.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like it's one. And like I've always said, like I was saying to you a few weeks ago, it's when I got very comfortable being by myself and stuff. And if I was in that weird kind of bubble in school where I wasn't very academic,
Mm.
but then so I was in quite low sets for most of the things I was in, but I wasn't like them that group of kids. Like for most people, lads who were in like a lower setting, like you say in your school, were either they didn't want to be there, they were just not kind of quite naughty or just quite had bad habits or whatever, and weren't
Mhm.
kind of nice kids. But then all my mates outside of the classes I was in were in quite high sets, so like I'd never see any of my mates that I did have. I couldn't really build that relationship with them because I'd only see them at certain times during the day, whether it be at breaks and stuff and whatever. Whereas the majority of my school life, it was just like you're surrounded by people that aren't like you and don't and that you don't really feel comfortable around. So it's like you never get that chance to ultimately be yourself. So you end up being too comfortable being yourself to yourself, if that makes sense, and not being able to open up about who you are and showcase who you are to other people because you've never had to. I think that's what I've struggled with even when I left school and went into like college and uni, and then even when I've like joined different groups, like for example two step, I found it hard initially and still do now. Sometimes I find it really hard to bring out who I am because I've been so used to suppressing it, if that makes any sense. Or
Yeah.
so I've been so used to internalizing who I am and just leaving it in my own head, but rather than letting it out and letting people see it, because you're always kind of scared of either rejection or scared of being judged or getting laughed at and stuff. With ultimately, most of the time in life, that doesn't happen, but in school, it's quite frequent to be put down for who you are and stuff.
It's in the forefront, isn't it? People use it as like a key to either like be a part of a group or to single somebody out to then get like a bit of that was funny, that just like
Definitely, yeah. No,
just by using somebody else to get a feeling of being wanted by others by like
no, definitely.
either hating them, or I know you have like you'd say lads culture where it's like a laugh, but then sometimes it can be a bit more personal where they're just doing that to like
No, definitely. I think for me in school, I went through that quite a lot. Where like you chat to a certain lad at like break or lunchtime, and they'd be your mate. But the minute you'd step into class, they'd take the piss out of you. Because I wasn't that, because I've got alluding to being an only child, didn't have that ability to go like who you talking to or like battle back. I just kind of go in my shell a bit. Where it's like,
well, you're a bit I would say you're you're easy going, I'd say as well. I think you're like quite a calm, controlled person who's like controls the controllables. But even now, I can see it in your personality.
no,
Like it's not
definitely.
something where you'd like raise the facts. You just like brush it off. Like there's worse things going on.
Yeah,
Don't
it's like
stress about
like for
that.
me, I even in work and stuff and whatever in different parts of my life, I'm more than happy to have conversations and say that things that I don't agree with, or with someone like yourself who you can have a conversation with. But at the minute someone is battling against you, I just can't. I really struggle with dealing with that confrontation. I think confrontation is something that I really struggle with dealing with. So like in school, for example, like I said, if you had that kid who was your best mate 1 minute, but then they're slagging you off the minute after, and like you'd have busted the joke, and just like you say, it literally was that thing of I'll take the piss out of you because it'll make the cool kid laugh in school, and then I'll get in with them. And I felt like that's what would happen to me all the time. I'd be best mates with someone 1 minute, and then they'd be ripping into me the next, and it'd be like you lose that trust of having mates and thinking,
Yeah.
well, I'll just not speak to you because you're just gonna take the piss out of me and stuff. And I haven't got that ability, like you say, to battle back against someone at that point. I probably still have it now. I probably am better at it now through having to with work and stuff and having them conversations. But I think at the time I always struggled with battling back when someone would do that to me.
Do you think it comes down to environment a lot as well?
In terms of,
Either obviously the environment you're in the school, it's very dog eat dog
yeah,
environment. Then even the local community of like what people were doing at certain times to what you were say you preferred to do. You wouldn't want to. You would take yourself out of that environment so you wouldn't be a part of it because that's not your personality just to fit in with others. Do you think it was challenging, but do you think that's also helped you now know what environment you want to put yourself in now as
yeah. Do you
an
know what?
adult?
Like it's been quite a long. Sounds like quite deep, but it's been like quite a long journey with that in terms of obviously I'm only really discovering over the last 12 or 18 months, like I said to you in our chat the other day, about the community that I've built around me, whether it be different people that I speak to, whether it be communities that I'm part of. I think I'm only just establishing that core group of people, and I think it's the perfect kind of blend of people that I'm surrounded with. And would I say, looking back, it was worth the challenges that I went through when I was younger? I'd probably say yeah, but it still doesn't mean that it didn't affect me, or it wasn't or that it
Yeah.
was nice at the time, or like going through like things like lockdown and not having that community around me and stuff, and going through that kind of crucial part of your life where you are building your mates, your friendship groups, and you are getting new people that you connect with, and not having that at that time, it can be quite damaging. Because I'm at a stage now where I'm 25 and stuff, and I haven't got many friends who I've had for a while, which is great because I'm quite open with loads of different people, and I think I'd like to hope that people see me as approachable and that I am probably everyone's friend, but I've got no proper mates that I've been at since I was in school, which when you see around and people have got all these mates they've gone on all these with, or they've spent loads of time with, or they grew up with, I haven't kind of got that, and it's something that I feel like I'm okay with, but it's not something that it's nice. But like I say, it probably has got me in the place where I've got the community that I want around me.
Do you think that helps with dealing with that, or like so having like the community or having the people who are around you now from these environments, do you think that really helps that side of it as well?
No, I think definitely, like I was saying previously, I think I found it really hard to open up and kind of showcase who I am and be who I am
Mhm.
around people and stuff. And even now, even with the community I've built, it's still taking a lot of time to do that. But it's having the people around me who I've got, who support me, who back me, who big me up, who've got that energy, that but not the energy in terms of I'm happy to, like, it's one of them where I love having banter. I love having a laugh with people and like you rip into me, I rip into you. I
Mhm.
love that completely, but
Yeah.
I can only have that when I've got the trust that that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I think
Mhm.
for me, it's helped massively having that community around me of knowing that these people have got me back and these people want me to be myself and they want to see
Mhm.
who I am and they want to engage with me. That's probably helped me a lot in terms
Mhm.
of being myself outside of that and speaking to new people and stuff. Definitely.
Definitely, because I think people underestimate how difficult it actually is for people to be themselves. I think so many times, even if it's subconsciously, we don't even think like we're just fitting into a conversation just to be, even if we don't believe it or
Yeah, yeah,
we don't even have like knowledge on that conversation. We'll either put a bravado on of lying or putting a bravado on of thinking, agreeing with the community idea of what the most people think it is. And we don't actually think like what we think.
yeah,
And then I know you start to lose identity in a way sometimes, don't you? And it's like if you keep doing that, it's just gonna be you're gonna lose into effect of losing who you are and the values of you because you're just living through others.
no, definitely. I think that's the one thing. I think if you do that throughout your life, you might have loads of friends and stuff, and loads of people who you perceive as friends, and loads of different groups, but
Hmm.
you might not necessarily know who you are, and you might not know what's good for you and what
Hmm.
people are good for you and stuff. And they might be they might be friends with you, but they might not be there for you when you really need them.
Hmm.
Whereas ultimately, you're better off having a group of people who you really know and trust, who trust you for who you are and like you for who you are, rather than 100 people who just like you for who they think you are or who you're perceiving to be.
Hmm. Definitely. How would you say? So obviously, even you can tell us as well to give a bit of backing. But with the job you do now, obviously you're dealing with young people from
Yeah,
16 to 25, if I'm right.
yeah, yeah,
So how is it to be able to get that across to them? Obviously, knowing that from your upbringing and you only being 25 yourself,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
still they must be able to understand you in a way. But then I remember you saying like they don't even want to be there. Some of them. So
yeah.
how is it getting that to be like a environment where they can be open with you and then you can be open with them? Is that quite difficult, or do you think that helps you?
Do you know what? I think originally it does help me. Like I've been working within youth work since I was 18. Like I went on a certain program when I was 16 called NCS, so
Hmm.
National Citizenship Service. It's basically like, it was basically a 4-week course after when you were 16. After you just finished school, you go on like residential, you'd meet new people, and you'd do loads of different stuff. And that was what one of the massive things that after leaving school, after having that really bad time at school, that was what really helped me get out my comfort zone, meet new people, start speaking to people, which I'd not done
Hmm.
for a while. So basically, when I'd done that when I was 16, I then worked on it when I was 18, like a summer camp. So I'd work on that for a few summers, and that was quite tough because I was the same age as half of them. Pretty much,
Yeah.
there was certain ones where
Hmm.
I'd be on a residential with a group of 16-year-olds,
Yeah.
and I was 18.
Yeah.
I basically was one of them. So
Yeah.
that was quite hard to build that kind of
Hmm.
not leadership, but build that authority with them because
And trust,
yeah,
isn't it
because
as
they
well?
just they'd
Yeah.
be like, who are you? You're literally
Yeah.
you're one of us. Why are you telling us what to do? It was
Yeah.
quite hard, but I think as I'm obviously developing in the role, and I've worked in youth work full time now for 4 years.
Hmm.
So I worked in it for like seasonally through summers for about 3-4 years, and then worked in it. So I've probably worked in it now from what even 20, just turning 26 now. Probably the last probably 8 years I've been working with young people, with youth and stuff. And I think definitely having that level of being where they've been and stuff, and knowing not necessarily knowing how they feel because obviously everyone's different and everyone's
Hmm.
individual, of course they are, but I think that's what got me into it. I wanted to have the same impact on a young person that these type of programs, like the one I'm working on, did for me.
Hmm.
So I think that was one thing that really pushes me to work with these people, and it's probably just helped me having that kind of knowledge of what they might have been through and having that kind of being on a bit of a level with them. But yeah, it definitely can be challenging working with, like I said before, such a wide variety of young people. Because, like I say, 16 to 25, you could be working with someone who's just got out of school, who's or been kicked out of school at 15.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in education or not in anything because no one's took them
Mm-hmm.
because of behaviour
Yeah.
in the same cohort of someone who's 24, who hasn't been out the house since COVID, who really struggles with anxiety or depression or some sort of a thing like that. And you've got to then put them two in the same cohort with 10 to 12 other people of loads of different backgrounds and loads of different places throughout Liverpool, loads of different ages, loads of different life experiences, and deliver the same program with the same
Mm-hmm.
learner aims to
And
all
bring
them
them together
individuals.
in a way.
Yeah, and having to get them to work as a team
Mm-hmm.
through like 5 6 weeks while trying to all work on the same thing. It can be quite challenging, but it's something that I love doing and something that I'd love to continue doing anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely is, and it's like it's a feel good feeling as well because obviously you're helping others, but like it must help you at the same time. Like, what do you think the biggest thing you've learned from doing it through others?
I think for me, it's one thing I've learned it's been quite tough to learn, but it is something that I've developed is you can't help everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't help everyone the same way. Like if you've got a group of 12, 15 young people or just people, because like I said,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are not far off my age. If you can even just help one of them out of the 12, you've done your job ultimately. Like, would you love to help all 12 of them each month? Of course you would, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but that's never ever going to be the case. And like we were
Yeah.
saying before, sometimes you might not be in a place for you to make that massive impact. Like we only work with young people for around 6 or so weeks on like one-to-one delivery,
Mm-hmm.
not one-to-one, but like group delivery. So even if we plant that seed of them doing something else after us and then changing their life, even if we make that tiny impact, then that's ultimately what I love to do. And it's always good when you hear back from young people, like say 12 months down the line, and they're in a job or they're in a college, and it's not something they would have done without your support. It's always nice hearing back from people and stuff. Definitely.
Definitely, 100%. Good. I also think more back to you as well about the sense of belonging and having the right circle around you, which
Yeah.
we've just spoke about. It can be difficult, can't it? How do you think? What do you think you have? What's the best ways that you've found that right circle?
I think it's just putting yourself in these situations, like
Mm-hmm.
looking for, like I think for me, like I was saying earlier, when I was younger, I got into a bit of a rut of just not knowing where to go, but also not looking for
Mm-hmm.
anywhere to go or not looking for people to connect with or kind of thinking, oh well, I'm happy by myself. But ultimately, I think me putting myself in them situations, doing things that I felt uncomfortable doing, that made me feel really nervous. That made me kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. Doing that and finding that thing of belonging. And
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it's hard, but when you haven't got that circle around you, you've got to make more of an effort to make that circle, if that makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
these people that you connect with, like for example, I'll just use two step because it's something that we both have in common. But if I'd just gone two step every week and not really spoken to no one outside of it, not made the effort to speak to people, yeah, you might have got the odd few who spoke to me, which people have, and that's brilliant. But if I don't make an effort to connect with these people outside of two step and say hi to them or make conversations with them, then I'm not going to create that circle where I think sometimes if you haven't got that around you, you need to not necessarily force it, but help yourself make that circle and connect with people and make sure people know that you're happy to connect with them. Like I think I've said loads of different times, I feel like I'm quite approachable person and I'm quite
Mm-hmm.
open to communication, but I struggle sometimes making that first initial conversation. Or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I go to two step or go to any other like kind of running events and I'll be like, oh, I'm a bit overwhelmed here. There's loads of
Mm-hmm.
different people and there's people already chatting in little circles, but I've got to a stage now where I'll just sometimes I can't, but I'll try and then just interject into a conversation and even if it's someone I haven't met before, go and speak to them and
Mm-hmm.
make them feel comfortable because then that helps me in turn do the same
Mm-hmm.
for others and stuff. But yeah, I think just putting yourself in them situations and kind of pushing yourself to speak to people.
Just actually doing it as well, isn't
Yeah,
it? And then just like feeling comfortable doing that, feeling comfortable in yourself to be able to, even if you don't know any person in the room, to be able to carry on, keep going, and join in a conversation. Because it can be tedious, can't it? Especially when it looks like everybody knows everybody in the room. It feels like you're singled out in a way.
yeah, no, definitely, yeah. It's like sometimes that you'll go to a certain thing, like we'll just mention CSIP again because it's what we're on about, but you'll go there sometimes and everyone will be in lost. If it's like yesterday where it was raining or it was a bit cold, everyone's in lost start and it's quite packed in there. And you walk in, there's noise everywhere, voices going on, everyone chatting. You walk in and go, oh, I don't know who's chat away because I don't want to feel like people are talking and then you just butt in and they're a bit like, who's this just stood next to us butting in. But it's like, you've got to realise that everyone in that environment is bothered. Like if you go into a scenario or go into a certain bubble of people talking and they're open talking to you, then that's sound. But that gives you people that you know, okay, they're not sounds, might not want to talk, that's cool. But then that shows you there will always be someone in that room who kind of is open to talking, who's open to bringing you into conversations with our founders. There's always someone who's happy to chat to you, and so why not just make the first contact and get talking? Yeah.
Definitely. You've got to be that first line of openness, haven't you? You've got to be that first person of like, yeah. Even if it's like the scary thing, it's like just jump first, do it first.
Yeah, because it can be quite difficult, like you were saying. Like it's not, and this like me saying this. Sometimes when I go, I even though at two step now, I know loads of different people and I've connected with loads of different people. There's times where like even I go there and I don't speak to no one. There's runs even recently, like the last few weeks, where I've went, not spoke to one person and got off because I've not found that opportunity to speak to someone, or I've not pushed myself hard enough, or I've seen an opportunity to speak to someone. I've just flapped it and my head fell off and I've just started running or whatever. Or might be someone who say like it's mid running, you're running next to them and I think I haven't really spoke to you. I know I should just say yeah, but I feel that uncomfortable doing so, and I don't want to feel like I'm just like, or it's that thing of not wanting to talk to someone and then them kind of not making conversation with you. Because I think for me, I struggle with making that conversation and having that kind of openness with someone. But like you say, it's just important to do that and give it a go and just just get talking to
It's
people
like
and
that
stuff.
with everything, though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
I think to get to somewhere, you've got to be able to be open to like asking the question, finding the answer,
yeah,
however way it can be, putting yourself in that awkward position to speak to that person, even like they might not want to speak to you, they might give you nothing back, but by getting that rejection, sometimes it even helps, like getting told no or getting not the outcome you wanted. Sometimes actually still builds the confidence because it's like, okay, well, I've
I've done
seen
it.
the
Yeah,
results of the conversation not going well. I'll just try another one
yeah.
because
To the next person. Yeah,
it's not that deep.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you never know. You might connect with. I found it a lot with different groups where you connect with one person, but then they connect you with loads of others. So it opens up doors a little bit for you as well. Like I found loads of different times where I've met one person, but then they've know a whole other group of other people where I've then connected with. I've used one person to connect with others, and that made it a hell of a lot easier because you're not by yourself. So it's just making that first initial move is always the best thing to do.
Definitely. Do you think belonging comes from others accepting you or you accepting yourself?
That's a very good question. I think no, see. I don't know actually, to be honest, because I think for me, it's almost so actually what is belonging. I'd say feeling part of something, but then I suppose to feel part of something, you've got to know what you're part of and who you are initially and stuff, and being open to being part of something. So I'd say it comes from within, but then belonging still requires the other party to then accept you. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
like I can want to be as part of a group as much as I want, but if they're not wanting or not accepting of me being part of them, then it's not gonna kind of get there. So I think I'll be on the fence with that one. I think I'd say a bit of both, to be honest.
So one of the main reasons why you wanted to come on was to raise or show awareness around your personal experience of having and dealing with an eating disorder. Are you okay to just talk me through this time? Like
Yeah. So I think
timeline?
I've been struggling on and off with kind of an eating disorder for around let's say 9 or so years. I think at the minute I'm probably in the best place I've been with that and stuff, and I'd say I'm still in recovery with it and stuff, and I still have challenges as loads of people who've gone through it do. I think it's something that you can work on over time, and it's something that you can recover from, but it's not as easy and as linear a process as people assume and stuff. But yeah, I've been struggling through it probably through since I left school. right up until till through lockdown and up until now. But there's been peaks and troughs. There's been things that have helped me. There's been times where I thought I was well and truly over it. There's been times where I thought I'd kind of never get past where I was at. But similar to the conversation we were having earlier, it's a thing of you're always battling against it, and that thing of growth. It goes back to that. It's always kind of pushing forward and seeing ways of developing yourself and getting over these little hurdles. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, what was it? When would you say you first come apparent, or would you say you first felt like you knew, or what was when you realized
okay.
that the issue was there?
I think when I was around, I'd say about 19,
Mm-hmm.
20 or so, I think I've probably been struggling with it looking back in hindsight from when I was around 17 or so. But obviously at the time you don't realise it's an issue.
You just didn't
You don't
even
see
know.
you don't
Yeah.
see it as an issue. And then yeah, even like friends and family and stuff would like my partner would show concerns and stuff. And but I feel like when you're in a kind of headspace, whether it be being a certain, it's like for example, it's most eating disorders, not all of them, most of them do start around body image and around
Mm-hmm.
looking a certain way or feeling a certain way about yourself, and whether it being self-conscious and stuff. I think for me that was the case. I felt quite self-conscious when I was around leaving school, and I can't remember for the life of me what the reason was and I think there was an initial kind of thing that sparked it, or a big moment that made me kind of go down a certain path. But I think I just wanted to feel a bit better than how I was looking, and I was quite conscious of my weight and stuff. I was never overly big, but I think I just was unhappy with how I was,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided I wanted to lose weight. And I think I just went about it the completely wrong way. I think I just stopped eating. Basically, I just would eat minimal amounts of food through the day. I was in college most of the time, so I wasn't around people in terms of like family and stuff. So I could go all day without eating and stuff. I'll be I wouldn't say I was exercising that much, funnily enough, which is something that I'd lead on to later. But yeah, I think I just went around it the wrong way. I think at one point I lost about 4 stone in 7 months, which is just like when you look back at it now, it's ridiculous. Like for me, I'm around 5'11". I say 6'20" is asking, but I say 5'11". I say
If it's
5'11".
women,
In this room, I'll say 5'11". I'm quite comfortable with that at the minute. But and I was at my lowest, I was under 10 stone. I was like
Mm-hmm.
I was like 9 stone 10, which looking back now, you're going, that's ridiculous. I don't know what that is in kg. Back then, that's what I worked in, but
Mm-hmm.
just I remember looking at the scale and I seen that as such an achievement, and I was so happy with myself. But looking back, it was like, wow, that's mad and stuff. And things like going through when I was 17, 18, looking back at pictures of me now, it's like it's quite, it's not shocking, but I'm not a massive thing of looking at them, and that they are a bit. It makes you realise, looking back now, the place I was in and stuff. And then, like I say, through lockdown, I struggled with it. Found myself getting into fitness, getting into the gym and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I used as a bit of an unhealthy thing as well? And then, yeah, got into personal training, which is mental. So I got into that when I was around 20, 21-ish, and then struggled with it through then. Got into running. And yeah, I think it's been part of my journey throughout, but yeah, I'll probably touch on that further on today, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you think when you at first come apparent, do you think you tried to hide the fact? Or do
I
you think
think
you were open to like, you knew it, but you were just still, it was making you feel good?
Initially, I think I was resistant to it. Like I didn't think it was an issue. Like I think quite a common thing, but when people are initially going through the struggles that I've went through and things that I've done, it's you're in kind of denial, because, like I say, when people like losing weight and stuff, or people going through these journeys, if someone said to you like now, "Oh, I'm on this jab and I've lost 4 stone in 7 months," you go, "Oh, that's amazing, that's really good." Which even back then and stuff, it was at that time when like my partner would comment saying, "Yeah, you've lost quite a bit of weight," or or like family would comment on it, you'd see it as like, "What are you getting at me for?" Like I'm feeling better about myself, and I'm feeling good, and I'm looking better, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm liking what I'm seeing, and but ultimately you're always chasing the like what we were saying before, but like you're always chasing more, aren't you? Like it
Mm-hmm.
literally leads back full circle to what we said before. You're always chasing more, and I always found that anytime I'd meet any resistance through people telling me I wasn't doing the best of things, or I wasn't looking great, it was me just thinking they were resisting what I was doing, and I was like, well, I'm trying to make myself feel happier. What's the issue type of thing? So I don't think I seen it really as an issue till I was a little bit older, and even then, I think, like you said, I think once you do see it as an issue, seeing it as an issue and then dealing with it is completely
The two completely
it's
different.
yeah. You can know you've got an issue. Like even now, I would never ever say I've fully recovered from it. I know there's still traits that I do that are probably are a little bit disordered and things that I do that aren't healthy. But it's like I said before, like again before, it's like having them little wins and them little things that you achieve. It's just doing that rather than focusing on being 100% recovered or feeling like you're completely back to how you should be, because it's unrealistic in a certain aspect.
Definitely, because I know it's non-comparable, but we all have habits that we kind of, no matter how much we grow as a person, we can always fall back into them. But it's learning to like deal with not doing that and dealing with being able to just know they're there, but you know all the coping mechanisms, all the ways of like seeing it
Yeah.
before then it becomes a habit again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think it's about knowing the pros and cons of what you're doing. Like I might know there's certain things that I do or I used to do that made me feel good in one way, but then I always remember, well, what were the cons? What were the things that it took away from me? Like for example, have I been in a better shape than I am now? 100%, yeah. But was it worth the trade off of the cons of how it made me feel, the energy levels I had and stuff, and what I was putting my body through, and how it made me feel mentally? Absolutely not. So it's always having that thing of, yeah, these things, like these traits and habits that you do that might make you feel good in one ways, but it's how much is taken away from you, and that's what you've always got to try and, well, me personally, it's what I always try and think about. Like even like now, I use running quite a lot in my recovery. I think it's been an unreal thing for my recovery getting into running. But then I know there's certain aspects of what I do running wise that are negative. So I've always got to be mindful of what I'm doing and always think of the reason behind it as well. And yeah.
How was that environment? So becoming a PT in that fitness environment, which it is a very, I know it's lots of people strive for improving their fitness, either if it's stronger, being aerobic, fitter, whatever it is. But then there's a lot that's it's all about image, body. How was it? Was it hard working in that industry while you were still going through them challenging times?
Yeah, I think, do you know what the crazy thing is? I think at the time I was unaware of it, because I think even until I left personal training and I didn't do it anymore, I didn't actually realise it was having an effect on me. I think it's only in hindsight where I thought it wasn't a healthy place for me to be and stuff, and it probably wasn't helping, because, like you say, it's always that thing of, in the gym, there's always someone bigger than you, there's always someone who looks better than you. There's always that emphasis on looking better, and I'm working with people, like I'm working with clients wanting them to use fitness to feel better about themselves. But yeah, it was quite ironic because I was using it for the wrong reasons, but because you're so focused on your clients and fitness is your life and it becomes your life, which is probably, for me, it probably made it harder for me to see the issues I was having, because fitness and health was my life, because it was my job. So I was around it in my hobbies and my interest. I was around it professionally, so I was never out of that kind of environment. So I think it did probably hide some of the things that I may have seen sooner. Because the one thing I'd say with things like eating disorders and body image and compulsive exercise and all these different brackets that it's under, loads of the things that the fitness industry see as good and healthy and people strive to do can also be very disordered and be negative.
Yeah.
So being in that environment all the time probably made it very difficult for me to spot what I was doing was wrong, because everyone around me would have been doing it. But obviously, if they've got different reasons behind it and healthier reasons, it still looks the same on the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you were comparing yourself to somebody else who was, you were thinking doing the same thing, but then you don't know the eating habits or the hours they're consuming, training or the recovery or the rest.
Yeah.
You don't know that, do you, fully?
Yeah, exactly.
But then if you see the same, it's like, well, I mustn't be doing something wrong. You're kind of telling yourself that it's okay, aren't you? You're building that story that it's like, no, I'm doing fine. It's not on it. Pushing it back, isn't it?
Yeah, like a very good example in the fitness industry is, like, for example, tracking your nutrition, tracking your food. Like,
Yeah.
in the industry, when people looking to work on the physique and work on whether it be fitness, physique, whatever it is, tracking your nutrition and your macros and your calories is something seen as that's really good. It's really helpful and it keeps you stay on track and it keeps you disciplined and all this stuff. But when I was doing it, it was for the completely wrong reasons. It wasn't to track; it was to control. If that makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's very, very similar, but completely different. I think tracking something and being obsessed over it is completely different, but it can look the exact same, which is why it's such a hard thing to spot.
Yeah, it's very tough to see, isn't it? What is your opinion on counting, watching, control? Shall we say control?
Yeah. I think for me, I think anything that you do in health and fitness, whether it be tracking your nutrition, tracking your progress, even like for example, everyone wears fitness watches now. It's like most people, even if they're not into the gym, have a watch with that tracks
sleep.
that tracks the steps. It tracks like all this data. I think anything that you got that you can track or control, used in the right way with the right support and the right guidance and the right knowledge, is absolutely fine. And it's a great tool to have. But that's all it is. It's a great tool. It doesn't necessarily. It shouldn't be everything that you hang your hat on. Like even I'm quite what's the word? I'm prone to doing this where I might get up in the morning, first thing I do is out of the sleep. Not like thinking, oh, how was my sleep? I'll look and go, oh, how was my sleep? Because on your Garmin, it kind of gives you a little summary of how you slept and how many hours you. I still do it now. I catch myself every now and then going, oh, how was my sleep? The minute I've got up, it's the first thing I'll do. It's like, well, no, just you know how you slept. You know how you must feel when you've. But there's times where it plays on your mind. Like for me, I might have had amazing sleep and I feel great. But if my Garmin says I've had a shit sleep, I might go, oh, I feel tired today.
Yeah, it just puts you into that.
Yeah, or the other way, it's like I might have had a really bad sleep. But if Garmin says I've had 7 hours, 7-8 hours good REM, I'm like, oh, I feel great today. It's like it's mad how it kind of affects how you feel and how you're thinking. That's the one thing I think people need to be careful of.
Definitely. Like I can totally agree with that. I can resonate because I had a Whoop for about a year or two. I think it was 2 years in the end. I was like, I just need to get rid of it. Yeah. Because it was giving me too much information that was making me think too much. That was like, I'm just deep in stuff too much. I didn't need to. Like, I think that's the thing. I think it's being conscious and then it's being emotional. And it's what category you put yourself into. Because you can bring your emotions into your tracking, into everything, your steps, your sleep, your food intake, your protein, whatever it is. Where I think if you're just intending to live a balanced, positive habits life, I think that's better. Because I do think metrics are really big now, and I think it doesn't need to be as much. I think we can be sometimes too metric driven instead of just like, any human knows if you go to bed for 7 or 8 hours compared to 5, you're going to have a rapid difference of energy, recovery than if you had 5. Same with food, isn't it? If you have a full balanced meal or you have a Mackey's, you're going to compare it.
Yeah.
But that's if you have it every day. You could have a Mackey's once a week and it's completely different. It's like comparable. Like some people like, I've got to eat clean food, and if I don't eat clean food, organic food, I'm not putting it in my body. But then you're putting your body through the mental stress of like having to do that.
I think it's all individual things, like anything to do with your nutrition, your habits, your exercise. It's also individual. It's all something that it's not one size fits all. I think people are too quick nowadays on like social media, on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever to. This is the best thing you should eat. This is what you should do. Here's all the list of clean food you should eat and whatever. And ultimately, it's whatever's better for you personally. Like for some people, for example, they might not want to. Like you mentioned Mackie, so I mentioned that. Like that might be a really healthy thing for someone to go and do. Like for me, the thought of just I've gone like say like I finish with you today, and I might go, oh, I might go to Mackie's. That would be a huge step for me. Going on like an impromptu meal that I weren't planning. Just going to Mackey's, enjoying it, not feeling guilty afterwards, not feeling like I shouldn't have had that, and just enjoying it, enjoying food for what it is. Yeah. That might be a massive step for me, but for someone else who's on a different journey, in a different mindset, that might not be what's good for them. So I think
definitely.
Anything regarding to the health, nutrition and food, it's so individual, it's so hard to kind of say what's good or bad. And like I'll never, ever comment on what someone's done. The only time I'll ever comment on what someone's kind of doing nutritionally or with their exercises, if I feel like they're at risk of harm or at risk of doing,
Yeah.
and even then,
Mhm.
I'm not a trained professional in any way. Anything that I'm doing, kind of at the minute, and hopefully over the next few years, and that I'm trying to grow, everything I'm trying to do is just to raise awareness and it's
Mhm.
just to get people thinking.
Mhm.
I'm not in any way, shape, or form the trained professional, and I would never claim to be. There's people who are and who are brilliant at what they do, and I would definitely signpost people to them and do and stuff like that. But for me, it's just I'd never ever suggest someone to do something with the nutrition, which is ironic considering I was a personal trainer. But even then, I'd stray away from that because people look at people who are in the fitness industry and personal trainers or who are coaches and look at them for what they should do with their nutrition, but they're not nutritionists. There's a
Mhm.
big difference, and I think
Yeah.
the amount of times I've been asked, "Oh, you're a PT," or people in work now, because obviously, even though I'm not PT now, I'm still technically qualified, and people
Mhm.
know I was one. Say, "Oh, well, I'm on this new diet," or and I'm like, I don't want to answer you this because
Mhm.
I'm not trained in it.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not you, and I'm not doing what you're doing. So it's how can I possibly give you an answer that would kind of help you?
Mhm. Yeah. No, definitely, because it's like you said, you're not skilled and trained with all the backing and knowledge of that. It is. It can be. I think with the social media, I think it can be a huge detriment to people because they're seeing so much information. Like, if you want to have the Mackies, that's great. Go and have it. But then you'd get 10 videos on your feed saying, "Don't eat this, don't eat that,"
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's full of this artificial, full of that. But like that's just going to put more stress and hindrance on people.
yeah. Exactly. I think.
And you lose, sorry
No, go
to
on.
interrupt you,
No, of
you
course.
lose the actual, what you're eating food for. It turns into measurements and macros and carb instead of it being enjoyment of food.
Yeah.
Because that
No,
is what
definitely.
food should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think as long as what you're doing with your nutrition or with your exercise or whatever, as long as
Mm-hmm.
it's making you feel good and you feel healthy and you feel like you're living every day feeling good, that's all that ultimately matters.
Mm.
Like I said before, it's like I'm quite think of like people have this thing like, oh yeah, food is fuel, and that seems a good thing. But then also, if that's like you were saying before, that's only what food is, that's also not good. And
Mm-hmm.
for example, if food's taking up so much of your headspace just to keep it clean or just to keep it healthy, but it's up there, it's wrecking your head.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healthy either.
I
Or
know. Yeah.
or it's putting you
Mm-hmm.
in a bad head. Like the amount of times where like even now, I still struggle with if I like, say for example, if I'm in work today and someone's for whatever reason they've threw me lunch that I've pre-made in the bin, or just done something with it, or like they've just not realised and thought it was whatever. My head is full completely off. I'm like, I don't know what to, I don't know what to have. I don't know what to eat. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
walk into a shop, not knowing what I'm going to buy for food, I can't make a decision, or I really struggle with picking something just at random.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that thing of, yeah, food is fueling in certain aspects of my recovery. That's been a really good thing. Like getting into the running, that was one thing that helped me in terms of you had to fuel properly. And with the gym, I found you can get away with under eating and under fueling in the gym because you might not make a lot of progress, but you're not going to do yourself any harm
Mm-hmm.
in terms of lifting weights or doing
With
stuff
the
like,
energy
yeah.
output as well.
Because
Yeah.
with the you might not feel great and you might not see much progress or you might not grow much muscle, but you can get it with running. If you're running long
Mm-hmm.
distances, you can't get away with under fueling.
Yeah.
You physically can't do it,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to reach goals. So I think,
Anything like that, any sport like that, or anything where you put
yeah.
in so much energy output, it's just.
So it's having that balance of, yeah, fuel, there's fuel and keep
Mm-hmm.
that in mind, but also it's also for enjoyment as well, which,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that's something that I'm preaching, but I'm only preaching from a place of, I still struggle with that now
Mm-hmm.
of indulging in food and feeling comfortable doing that and not binging and just having food for enjoyment is something that I still struggle with daily as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, a bit more back to you as well.
Hmm.
Have you ever found a time where either family or people around you didn't understand? And if so, was it frustrating, or did you have people who understood?
Do you know what I think for me, I've always had people who might not necessarily have understood, but they've been open to
Mm-hmm.
understanding. If that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah, I get what
they
you
might
mean.
not have got it,
Yeah.
but they weren't dismissive of it,
Yeah.
or they were always open to listening and learning. And they might have been frustrated at times where, like for example, if there's certain times where I've gone from just like say like when I used to live with my parents, I'd be eating a meal with family, and then all of a sudden I'm like being that picky with over what I'm eating or over analysing what to cook, and it's like that can be frustrating. But I feel like they might not have understood, but they just wanted to understand, which I think
Mhm.
ultimately that's just as important. You
Mhm.
might It's not wrong with not understanding something as long as you're open to learning and wanting to understand. And I've always had people who support me and even just maybe trying to warm me off doing certain things, even if at the time I hadn't kind of took it on board, it was still always there and it was always present.
It shows people care as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It shows like
exactly,
there's people there support wise, because that always helps
exactly.
anyone. When I was researching and stuff, I was thinking, I'm reading up stuff. I don't know what your opinion is, because obviously this is my first time
Yeah.
properly researching into it. Do you think, in general, that from the outside looking in, people can misunderstood or misunderstand what an eating disorder actually is? Like, it's very. I think the line of what is and what isn't, I think sometimes can be very transparent. It's hard to see, and I
No,
think people
yeah,
can not, like we were saying in the gym. I remember you said to me that 1 in 6 people in the gym have the signs of an eating disorder,
yeah.
and but you might not see it. In general, do you think that is a huge case?
Yeah, I think that definitely it's like it's under the bracket of mental health kind of
Mhm.
illnesses, and people don't understand the prevalence and severity of eating disorders. I think the biggest mental health killer in the UK is eating disorders,
Mhm.
which if I
Mhm.
was to tell you that now, people wouldn't assume that. People would think whether it be depression, anxiety, all these different things.
Mhm.
But no, eating disorders is the biggest killer in the UK in terms of mental
Mhm.
health, and it's like I say, especially in a kind of in eating disorders, like I mentioned to at the start, it can be very to do with the body image, with how people look,
Mhm.
with stuff like with health and fitness, and being in that kind of environment yourself, it can be so hard to spot. And like you've just said, it can be if 1 in 6 people show signs of an eating disorder, that doesn't necessarily mean 1 in 6 people in that room might have one, but it makes it so hard to spot. Like I said before, it's because loads of different traits that people do in a health and fitness space can be from a disordered kind of headspace, which, like I say, they can look exactly the same, but it all depends on why, if that makes sense, why they're
Mhm.
doing what they're doing and what's the reason behind it. And quite a lot of the time, it can be disordered and it can be hard to spot because, like I say, one person's doing it and it can be disordered, but then the person next to them who they're following on Instagram or they're looking at in the gym or they're meeting at the running club does it all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
So, like you were saying before, it kind of vindicates what they're doing and it makes them feel like, oh, it's normal. If he's doing it, then it's all right. So I always think criminal of it with running. I got to a place where I was running probably way too much. I was just always continually wanting to run more and more and more and more
Mhm.
because so and so on Instagram runs X amount of kilometers a week, and that I should be doing that
Mhm.
because if you can do it, why can't I? Type of thing, and
Yeah.
but for me, that was be having such a negative effect on my mental health, and it was all for the wrong reasons. So yeah, it can be very hard to spot.
I thought that as well, because even the fact of, like, I think people would misunderstand that men with the
Definitely,
eating disorders as well, because when you think of body image, your first thought probably is a woman, isn't it?
yeah,
Or like it's an ongoing issue with women. And when I was diving deep into that, I was like, wow, how like challenging it is for men as well. Because what one of the statistics I got is 1 in 3 people with eating disorders are male,
yeah,
and that's obviously showing it's more than just a female issue.
yeah, exactly. And even in that statistic, that's probably 1 in 3 people of men who've actually
Hmm.
shared it because
Yeah.
there probably
Hmm.
many more who haven't shared it who don't feel comfortable sharing it. And it's yeah, I think definitely it's because when you first initially say to someone about an eating disorder, you do things like typically about maybe a female
Hmm.
maybe struggling with anorexia, not really eating a lot, really thin. Whereas ultimately that's just scratching the surface of what eating disorders are. It's a massive complex kind of illness. Even me, like obviously I'm really honing in on the sport and fitness kind of side of things, and like I say, only purely because, like I said before, I'm not qualified in any way as of yet. It's more just my personal experience and
Hmm.
having that personal experience of
It
what
can
I've
be
gone through.
as powerful though as
But
well.
for me, even I'm learning
Hmm.
daily about the different types of eating disorders. I'm working with an organisation called TED's Liverpool, so they're talking eating disorders Liverpool. They're Liverpool's main eating disorder charity, and so I'm an ambassador for them. And even working with them, they've got support groups every month. So every first Tuesday of the month, they're based in Clubmore and Croxteth. So you've got support group 4:30 till 6:30, and that's for people in recovery, and then 6:30 till 8:30 is parents and carers of those in recovery. And I've been trying to get to pretty much most of them since January, since I've been working with them. And even for me, the amount I've learned about the different complexities of eating disorders is just being like, even I've gone, wow, even I didn't know. Because obviously everyone goes through their own struggles and you get very tunnel visioned on what you've gone through, but kind of opening my scope of this is an issue, not just in my realm, in my kind of demographic. It's an issue in loads of different ways and loads of different kind of people. So yeah, there's a lot more to it than people understand. And like you say, it's not just, oh, if you're thin enough, you need help. People can look healthy. People can be running marathons like me, but on the surface, look healthy. Look like, oh, I want to be like him, but underneath, they could be really struggling.
Definitely. It's like it's crazy how much. One thing that really I picked up when we were speaking there was a lot of people don't want to speak about it. Why do you want to obviously constantly be learning? Because I know learning will help, but why? Because for some people it would be really hard to be open and speak about it because it's very personal, and I think people can look at you in a different way at times. Do you know by
No,
saying it?
definitely, yeah.
Did you get what I mean? Am I right
No,
there?
no,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, even like there's been times where in work when I kind of, because there was a certain point in work maybe 2 or 3 years ago where I was really struggling with the exercise, and I was over exercising quite a lot and probably compulsively exercising. And there was one day where I was going into work and I went on a run before work, and I absolutely killed myself on this run. I went on way longer than I should have. I was quite, and I still am. I still struggle with it now sometimes. Where if I've got a certain distance I want to run, or a certain time I want to run for, or a certain session, even if it's going to make me late for something else, or it's going to really kill me off for work, or kill me off at, like, there used to be one thing actually was going back when I was younger and I used to be into the gym before I was into running. There was times where I'd be in uni all day, and say for example, I'd be coming home for like my tea, but I've got to go to the gym, and my parents be like, well, no, it's like 6 o'clock. Just whatever. We're having tea in a minute. And I'd have to go. I'd literally force my way out the door and go to the gym, even though I probably didn't need to. And same goes for the running. There was times where when I was in work, just going back, I apologise. But there was times where I was in work, and there's one time I got in, and I broke down. Me, I just like, I was so overwhelmed with the running, and I was running so much, and I was so tired, and I wouldn't stop. And I got into work late because I was so fixated on, I've got to get this X amount of kilometers done today, and my head will just fall off completely if I don't get this done. So I ended up getting into work late because I think I'd left for whatever reason it was. I'd left with my run late. I don't know. I can't even remember what it was, but it was for some reason I left. So rather than just cut my run short and get into work on time,
You had to finish it.
I couldn't. It sounds like a massive cop out, and it
No,
probably
it
was.
doesn't, no.
But physically, again, it goes to the pros and cons. The pros of me cutting my run short and getting into work on time were outweighed by the cons of how I'd feel all day by not completing that run. So I ended up getting into work about 10, 15 minutes late, which is a bit embarrassing when you get into work late and everyone's in and you're like walking in my running gear. I'm walking into the office, and I remember I got to where our work was, and there's like a little communal area before our work because it's a shared space. And I just sat there. I was like, I can't face going into work. I'm like 20 minutes late. I'm in my running gear. I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm not ready to work. And I'm like, basically half an hour late. I'm like, I'm embarrassed. And that was what kind of, that was what made me broach it with work and stuff. And yeah, since then, like, I think, sorry, that was a massive tangent.
No,
but
that was really powerful.
leading back onto what the reason was why you asked me, it was broaching that with work. It was hard because people were. I made sure I said to any of my colleagues, please don't broach me in a certain way, or like I said before about having banter. I love my working environment at the minute. The people I work with, I really like, and we have a lot of banter and a lot of back and forth and a lot of friendly banter between each other and ripping into each other, which I love. And I just said to them, whatever happens, obviously now you know about the things that I struggle with, that banter doesn't stop. If you want to say something about what I'm eating or me running or whatever that is, I don't want you to look at me differently or feel like you can't have certain banter with me, because that's not what I want to lose. So alluding back to that point, I think definitely it's a hard thing for people to broach, because you might be seen in a different light, or people might not say the same things around you and look at you the same way. But I think for me, the reason why I wanted to raise awareness around it To be honest, part of it is probably from a selfish reason of I think it's helping me
Mm.
in my recovery
Yeah.
because being so open
Mhm.
and supporting others and having that network around me who know about what I've been through
Mhm.
probably helps me in my recovery. And also, I think
It holds you accountable as well, doesn't it? Yeah.
exactly. I think one
Mhm.
thing I've been through CBT, which is behavioural therapy with the NHS and stuff, with this issue
Mhm.
through that, and that was the main thing I gained from it. It wasn't necessarily doing something new or them teaching me something that I didn't know. Because, like I said, like we said before, most of the time with things like mental health, you know that what you're doing is wrong, and with eating disorders, you know that these habits are unhealthy, but it's being
Mhm.
challenged to do them
Yeah.
and to learn that it's safe to do that
Mhm.
is completely different and stuff. And that's something that I think I definitely took from doing all this and raising awareness. It's really working on early intervention. I think myself and with TEDS, which is the place I'm ambassador for, our real aim and the reason why I came to them and the reason why we're working together
Mhm.
is to work on that early intervention of eating disorders and kind of getting people more aware before it becomes an issue because ultimately it's a lot easier to stop before it starts.
Mm.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense,
it
that
makes
sounded
sense.
quite like
Yeah.
a bit of a quote, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Early intervention is probably the biggest is the biggest thing that helps people not kind of not get in that place.
Mhm. Definitely. I also want to speak to you around, which it's quite similar, but obviously you've been in that fitness
Hmm.
environment, you've seen it,
Yeah,
and then the way of having the hustle culture
yeah,
or the obsession, like I've got to do this, like you
yeah,
were
yeah,
saying with you running. I think it's really like, especially on social media, seeing all that. I think it can be really unhealthy for people, and it can start to like put them in a cycle of like mentally thinking that way, like I can't rest, um, not going hard every single session. I'm not going to get the right outcome out of it. What's your thoughts on all this?
Do you know what that's a really really big point, and I think that's something that even I struggle with still in terms of always feeling on like a grind or that thing on social, like you say, social media is always. I think everything now, everyone wants to achieve something yesterday. Everyone,
Hmm.
especially when
Yeah,
it comes to, I'll
of
just talk about
course.
health and fitness exclusively because that's what we're talking about now. But I think it goes for life as well. That thing of always having to achieve the next thing and move on to the next thing. Lots of people who run these big races or achieve these big goals, whether it be within athletics or sport or a team sport or whatever it is, they don't even give a second to taking what they've achieved before they're thinking about the next thing or they're thinking about the
Hmm.
next goal or
Yeah.
what they want to achieve next. And that, like I said, that culture can be really unhealthy because ultimately, unless you're an elite athlete, and even then, that's opening a can of worms within this kind of thing of eating disorders and compulsive exercise is a massive issue in athletics and stuff.
Hmm.
But parking that to the side, we're we're not elite. We're people who run or go to the gym or play a sport. We do it as a hobby. It's meant to be something that we
Hmm.
do for enjoyment and to
Yeah.
relax and to escape the stresses of life. And don't get me wrong, not all stress is negative. Not all stress is bad. Some stress is good, whether it be mental stress, whether it be physical stress. It is obviously good and it's good to have that thing to release. But it should stay a hobby. It should remain. I think there's a massive thing now of everyone thinking they've got to be like an elite because all these influencers who get into the position they've got into, which is fair play. They've built this community where they can live like an elite and they can train like an elite, and they've got this lifestyle where they haven't got a 9 to 5, and then they're putting that on Instagram, which is inspiring people to go and run or go and get into the gym, which is amazing, by the way. It's not something that's a negative. But then people who do have these 9 to 5s who aren't as in a luxurious position as them feel like they've got to live up to them standards when their life might be different. They might have a 9 to 5 like myself, or they might have
Hmm.
kids, or they might have different commitments that mean they can't live that life, and they're trying to squeeze it all in
Hmm.
into someone that can devote their life to it,
Hmm.
which not everyone's got that privilege.
And then it becomes unhealthy. And I think that's the one thing that people are forgetting in the fitness industry. And I know you've said this
Yeah.
yourself, that I think people see the pros and don't see the cons.
Yeah,
Like
no, definitely.
fitness is all pros. So if you're in the gym every single day, then you're going for a run, and then you're doing your hot and cold plunge, whatever it
Yeah.
is, or you're doing your sport constantly for repetition for hours on end. It can come unhealthy, can't it? It can come unhealthy to the fact of what you're actually doing it for. It
Yeah.
totally changes what you're doing it for.
Yeah, I think that last point you made there is probably the most important one. Is always try and remember. And to be fair, even going back to when I was a personal trainer, that was one of my massive kind of things that I always said. Is always remember what you do, why you're doing what you're doing, and what's your reason behind it. What's your why? What is your underpinning thing that's making you do what you're doing? I think that is one of the most important things to always kind of be self-critical of, and always check yourself of, right, why am I doing this? Is it, if I'm training for this race because I feel like I have to? Is it because I want to achieve this goal? Is it because I'm scared of not? Is it because I don't know what my kind of how I'd live my life without it? Like, things sometimes for me, I walk on that tightrope of fitness isn't my hobby. It's become it can become quite self-absorbing, and it can become your life and become something that you don't do as a hobby. It's like something that you need to do.
Mhm.
Like, even I found when I've been injured in the past, the minute I've been injured and been unable to run, it's been like, who actually am I? Which
Yeah.
it
What's my
was
identity?
really scary. Like,
Mhm.
that was one of the main reasons. And to be fair, it kind of links into what we're talking about in regards to the eating disorders. It was what was it's that thing in itself of getting injured and losing your identity is what made me want to go and get help. Because originally,
Mm.
through lockdown, is when I started running, and that originally really helped me with kind of with, like I say, fueling more. Like I said before, having to eat better, having to have a better relationship with exercise, and exercise more, and all that came with it. But then I found that the minute I ended up getting injured because I was running too much. So it was just an overuse injury. I couldn't run for about 8 weeks. And when I couldn't run, all these habits that I thought I got rid of, the negative habits, all came back. And it made me realize I haven't actually gotten rid of any habits, or I haven't recovered from this. I've just kind of moved the goalposts. I've just transferred the obsession with body image. And because I got to a place where I wasn't bothered about how I looked, I didn't look in the mirror, but I was obsessed with me running. So it
Mm.
didn't actually
And the
fix it.
outcomes of
Yeah,
that,
it
yeah.
didn't actually fix anything. It just changed the obsession to running.
Because
And I went,
that
yeah,
was your personality as well then, wasn't it?
exactly. And it comes back to as well, like, even linking back to the original point we made before about community. I think because I didn't have a community at the time, my whole community that I built for myself and that whole perspective of who I was running. So
Mhm.
then when that went, it was like, I'm alone. I'm alone, and I don't
Mm.
know who I am, which was just it sent me into like a massive kind of bad way of just going back to, it was crazy. Like I said before, when I really got into the running, the thing of how I looked and body image and looking in the mirror all went. But the minute I couldn't run, I started clocking how I looked again, and it all became, well, I'm not running, so why should I eat? Because I'm
Yeah.
not. What am I eating for? And it
Mhm.
goes back to that fuel is fuel thing. That was, I took that in a negative way. Of, well, I'm not running. Why am I eating properly? Because there's no point. Because I'm not feeling nothing. When ultimately that's not how you should think. And I went on a tangent then, but
No, well, it was great. It was
yeah,
all valuable
yeah,
stuff, so go with it.
that's
I
fine.
let
Yeah.
people go with
That's
it.
all right.
One thing that I did pick up, and I've been dabbling with it quite a bit. I think I might have mentioned it to you, but I've been speaking to a lot of people about it. Is everything that I see on social media a lot, and even personally, I've been a detriment to myself. Is anything I try and pick up to do, shall we say, a hobby, if it's playing a sport such as tennis or running,
Yeah,
or it doesn't even have to be a sport. It could be doing something on social media. It could be baking,
yeah,
painting.
yeah,
I feel like, I don't know about you, I've been consciously trying to do certain things just as a hobby and not to get
yeah, yeah,
better.
yeah.
So like this, what we're doing now, but the podcast, the brand, what I'm trying to grow, that is intentionally. I'm trying to grow. That's the aim, to constantly improve it. Where I do think there is a thing that it should be nice to just enjoy doing something as
Yeah.
well. Like, for example, you were saying with your marathons, you're going out there to actually enjoy it,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
which is refreshing to hear. What is your thoughts on hobbies and not turning them into trying to excel to be like the next professional at it?
Do you know what that? Yeah, I think we did speak about this a few weeks ago in terms of having your hobbies and stuff, and having hobbies where you've got aspirations is fine, and having
Hmm.
goals is great. But I think everyone should have a hobby that's pointless. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Everyone
I
should have a
like that.
hobby where
Yeah,
it's just like,
have a
I just
hobby
do it
that's
because I
pointless.
have a hobby because I do it. What does it get me? Nothing.
Hmm.
It brings me a bit of happiness and a bit of escapism from the work. Like,
Hmm.
I'm massive into me gaming, and even for me, over the last kind of year or two, I haven't, probably the last year, I haven't really been on my PlayStation that much. And I've even said to my partner the other day, I need to get on it more
Mhm.
because I feel like all my life now is just always doing something for a purpose, and
Mhm.
whether it be running, whether it be what I'm trying to achieve with growing this awareness and growing what I'm doing, whether it be going to work, whether it be nutrition, it's always got a point and it's always got a name and it's got to be for this reason. Whereas sometimes it's just nice just to do something to get lost in it for an hour
Yeah.
and
To enjoy it.
yeah,
The actual enjoyment
yeah,
factor of what we.
to enjoy it and pick
Mhm.
it up and put it back down and just it'd be pointless, yeah. But it's pointless in terms of an outcome, but it's not pointless for your mental health and for you to actually just just relax. Yeah,
Because I think we've all been like under that spell of, I think social media's really shown that, of like, it's always somebody trying to better somebody, even if it's like they're not doing it properly. It's just like, if somebody, running's probably the easiest example. If somebody runs a marathon, somebody's like, well, I'm gonna run a marathon every day. And
yeah,
then somebody's like, well, I'm gonna run a length of Africa.
yeah,
And it's never just like, it's always more, 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 more,
yeah.
more. It's never like, with anything, it's like painting, like it's the bigger painting, or it's like, I'm gonna do 1,000 of these. It's never just like enjoying it. Like, I think it is powerful if I'm trying to do it myself, to do something to not get better at it.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
I get exactly what you mean.
yeah.
I think I'm similar. Like I said, I haven't been on any kind of video games for like the last few months, and I'm like, well, why haven't I? Because I've missed it.
Hmm.
But it's that thing of it's that thing. Oh, what a wasting time, and it's you think, well, that's an hour where I could be doing something else. But I think if you don't have that in your life, it's like your life just becomes your life. It just you never feel fulfilled because you're always doing something. Whereas if you just spend that time just to get away from everything and do something that you enjoy.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like you enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy running. I enjoy doing all these different things,
Yeah,
but I still got an aim. Whereas it's good just to do something that you enjoy that hasn't got an aim. It's just I just do it
it's a
because
release, isn't it?
yeah,
It's just like, it's calm, and it's like you do it to just set your brain off.
yeah. Like and to be fair, you haven't got to find something new to do that. You can even
Hmm.
find the hobbies that you're doing now. Like even using an example of running. Like I have goals. I run frequently. Most of the time when I do run, I run because it's for a certain goal. It's like for a certain event or a certain achievement. But for example, once a week, if I go to two step, I never once look at my watch and go, oh, what time to do
Yeah.
that 5K? And I just go and have a
Just go
chat
and
and
do
just
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Some weeks it's
Hmm.
in like some weeks it's over 30 minutes. I'm like, I don't look until after I get
Yeah.
home and I go, oh yeah.
Hmm.
Like it's good to have that thing that you just go and do and you connect with people or you
Hmm.
just even if you don't connect with people, if your
Just.
job's quite
Hmm.
centered around people as it is, having that time just to disconnect from everything, it's
Yeah.
doing something you enjoy, yeah.
And just, yeah,
Just
yeah,
chilling
that's
there.
the thing.
Yeah.
Do it
Yeah.
for no improvement.
Which is crazy because we've
Yeah.
been speaking loads before earlier about all the aims we've got and all the things that we
Hmm.
do and why we
Yeah.
do it and it's having your reason why.
Hmm.
It's mad because we're just talking about the opposite now. Yeah.
It's the balance,
Yeah.
isn't it? You need both. Like, I feel like you need that release to then, to get your aims, to be all in on them. Because if you're all in on 12 different aims and 12, like,
Yeah.
so many different things, then you're just gonna get lost what your priorities are. Because we all have priorities, and we can't be great at everything. That's another thing. I think everyone's trying to strive to be great at everything, instead of just be great at one thing and then just enjoy everything else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Basically, you might have seen before, because I know you've tuned in before. I ask each guest for a contact that I can get in
Hmm.
touch with, and you obviously gave me your mate Max. And I basically ask everybody, what is their opinion of the person and how do they see them through their eyes? So Max has been able to answer this, so I'm just going to read out what he says and then get your thoughts and
Right.
opinion on it. Okay. Owen is a great friend who puts in a lot to what he does and wants to help anyone who wants to help themselves. He will go out his way to help you and always make the effort, even if you are going through a tough time or difficult to be around. He will be there no matter what. He's committed to the friendships and his running. He doesn't half ass anything. What's it
That's mad.
like?
Reassuring, to be honest.
Hmm.
It's nice to hear that.
Oh, I like that word.
No, it's nice
Hmm.
to feel that because anything that I've done, like with any people that I meet, and it all comes down to that thing of belonging, like we mentioned originally, and having that them people around you. Is that's all I want to achieve. I want to. I hope that people see me as someone that is there for them, as someone that's approachable and that they want to be part of the life, and that supports them, because that's what I get the most joy out of is supporting people and making people laugh, or being there and stuff, and creating them friendships. So to feel like someone feels that way about me, and it's kind of vindicating in how I want to be and stuff. So yeah,
It's uplifting as well. It's
definitely.
powerful. Well, I have a closing tradition on the podcast, and it's called the walkway. And the question is, if somebody walked a day in your shoes, what's one lesson they'd learn?
See, I was thinking about this since you've asked me, and it's such a hard question for me. I think if someone was to walk a day in my shoes, what would they learn? I think they'd learn probably. I think, like I said before, I think I'll use that as well. It's the importance of putting yourself out there and connecting with people, because without people and without people around you, like in my experience and what I've learned from me and what people would learn, is you've got nothing. Without people, everything that you do is pointless. So I think they'd learn to connect and to make sure that you keep them connections, and you make the effort to see your mates, and you make the effort to reach out to people, because if you don't do it, not everyone will come back to you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a perfect answer. You shouldn't have second guessed that.
But one thing I will touch on as well, so I was going to mention it to you as well.
Go on.
I mentioned it when we were chatting. So in terms of everything that I'm doing moving forward, and just to mention the awareness and stuff. So if you know that I run my account, and on Instagram, I've been really having a massive push. So since January, I've started kind of making a massive push around making awareness around eating disorders. And I'm starting a bit of a campaign this month. So it's just starting. I'm going to kind of release it and announce it like I'm an influencer, like I said before, which I'm not. On Saturday, just because I'm doing a little talk at Mini Social. So I'm going to be doing a little talk there and announcing this. So in April, like I said before, I'm running 2 marathons. So I'm running Manchester first and then London the week after, purely for the vibes, purely for enjoyment. Mainly because, like I said before, I want to reiterate that running is a hobby, and doing these events is a massive toll on your body, but it also, for me at the minute, it's probably the healthiest outlook I've had on kind of sport and exercise. And alongside these events, I'm going to be doing loads of different talks. So my aim this month is to get to as many running clubs as I can, to kind of raise more awareness around eating disorders, to spread the word around eating disorders and their health in the sport and fitness industry. And as part of that, I'm going to be raising some funds for TEDs. So as part of this campaign, like I said, it's going to be running 2 marathons, and also I'm going to be doing loads of different talks around eating disorders in the sport and fitness industry. So I'm going to be raising awareness and funds for TEDs, just purely to gain more access and resources to promote this further, to kind of further support them locally within Liverpool, supporting what they do. And yeah, I'm going to be announcing that kind of month-long campaign on Saturday. So yeah, I thought to mention it now, because then by the time this drops, it'll be on.
Well, yeah, well, it'll be out by the time this drops. I'll link everything below, and then also I'll link them as well. But if you just want to tell people either locally or on like a more global, shall we say, scale, where can people look for help if they need for anything?
Yeah, so in terms of help, obviously you've got my account, which is Owen.runs versus EDs. If anyone wants any support, like I've said before, I'm not a trained professional in any way, but I'm always there for people to reach out to, whether it be just to talk, because I think sometimes with eating disorders and with any mental health illness, just talking to someone is really, really important. In terms of locally within Liverpool, you've got the organisation that I'm ambassador for, which is TED's Liverpool, which is talking eating disorders. So they're based at, like I say, Liverpool. They have a base, like I mentioned earlier, in Croxteth, in Clubmore. So it's just around the flyover around there. They have a support group first Tuesday of every month. But they offer support all the time. So if anyone wants to drop me a line and I can get in touch with them, if anyone needs any support regarding that, they're always there. They've got a group of amazing volunteers and mentors who are well equipped. You've got qualified counsellors who are there to support and something there to guide people in that kind of in locally. You've got Beat UK. So Beat are the leading eating disorder charity kind of in the UK, and they offer a wide variety of resources. I think they've got a chat box that people can reach out to. You've got helplines, and obviously you've got, if anyone is kind of really, really struggling and or if someone or a family member is really struggling and they need of urgent support, obviously you've always got the NHS is there to kind of they've got their own kind of localised eating disorder service that you can get in touch with as well.
Definitely will. We'll throw all that below. But yeah, thank you very much for today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very articulate.
Thank you.
Thank you for the way you've answered stuff. And I know stuff is tough, and obviously you've had challenging times, but the way you've spoken about it and to show other people that what you've been through to then where you're looking like you're at the light at the end of the tunnel and you're showing people that it's okay to go through certain things. It's okay to you can be in a calmer situation. So yeah, thank you very much, and I've loved it.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
very
for having
much.
me.